All right, let's dive into something that seems pretty basic at first glance, but actually there's a lot more to it. We're talking about how to chat about work in school, without it being awkward or boring.
Like, I know everyone's thinking, ugh, small talk.
Right.
But it's really not about that.
No.
It's about making these conversations, which, let's face it, we have all the time,
right,
more interesting.
Yes. And, it's a really good way to kind of under the radar improve your English.
Exactly. And you know what I think is really interesting about these topics? It's just how universal they are.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, think about it. Pretty much every conversation you have with someone new, like, I don't know, maybe you're networking, maybe it's a first date, maybe you're catching up with friends.
It always comes up.
Yeah,
What do you do? Where do you go to school?
Exactly.
It's like the default, right?
Yeah.
It's like human interaction 101. But the problem is those conversations can be, well, kind of boring sometimes, right? So we're going to give you the tools to dive deeper.
Ask better questions, more interesting questions.
Yeah.
And, be that person that everyone's like, oh, they've always got a great story.
Do that person, yeah.
Right.
And it's not just about having a story to tell. It's like understanding kind of what's going on in those conversations psychologically.
Right.
Like, why are certain questions leading to, more interesting answers? And how can you make someone really feel heard?
Ooh, that's good.
Those are the things we're going to be looking at today.
I like it. So we've got a bunch of different sources here, like articles, research, some tips from communication experts. And what we're going to do is try to pull out the most useful, most valuable nuggets of knowledge.
Yeah.
Let's start with the foundation of any conversation.
Okay.
Which is vocabulary.
Right.
And I know you guys probably already know basic words like, job, office, student, teacher. But even those basic words have little nuances, and they can make a big difference in how you come across.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. Let's take the words part-time and full-time. Now, on the surface, you might think, okay, well, those just describe how much someone works. Right.
Right.
But actually, if you think about it, they can tell you a lot about someone's lifestyle, their priorities, what they're interested in, maybe even their ambitions.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine you're at, a networking event and someone says, yeah, I'm working part-time at the moment so that I can focus on, this passion project that I have. That tells you so much more than just, I'm an accountant or whatever their job title is.
That's so true. You get a little window into their world, right?
Exactly.
What they really care about.
Yeah, and I bet you could say something similar about the words job and career, right?
Yeah.
Job kind of has this feeling of it's transactional, it's just work, whereas career has more of this
path.
Yeah, like a path, this longer term. Exactly, purpose. And using those words, strategically, it could totally change the whole feel of the conversation.
Like if someone's like, oh, I'm just looking for a job, they might just need some money.
Right.
But if they're like, I'm really building my career, they've got a plan.
Exactly. They've got a vision.
All right. So we've got the vocab down.
Right.
Let's talk about those power phrases.
Okay.
The ones that can take a very surface level chit chat to a deep dive.
A deep dive. Yeah.
Our sources have some really good conversation starters.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of that classic, what do you do?
Right.
How about something like, what's the most rewarding part of your work? Or, what inspired you to choose this field?
I like those. Those are good.
Right.
And you know what's really interesting about those questions? They kind of tap into this thing that psychologists call intrinsic motivation.
Okay.
It basically means that people get really excited when they talk about things that they're passionate about, things that they feel like, yeah, this is my purpose.
Makes sense.
So if you ask those kinds of questions, you're not just getting information.
You're getting their heart.
You're getting their heart. Yeah, you're getting this positive emotional response.
It's like you're saying, hey, tell me about your best self.
Exactly.
And that's the core of being a good conversationalist, right? Being able to draw people out and make them feel comfortable to open up.
Yes. And it's not just about the questions. It's also about how you listen.
Oh, yeah.
Active listening. That's really important.
I've heard that phrase.
Yeah.
Active listening, but I don't know if I really know what it means.
Okay, well, it's basically you're really paying attention to what someone is saying. You're not just, waiting for your turn to talk.
Right.
You're really absorbing what they're saying.
Okay.
So it's a mix of verbal and nonverbal cues. Like you're making eye contact, you're nodding your head, you're saying things like, that's really interesting, or tell me more. But it's also about reflecting back what you've heard.
Oh, okay.
So you might say something like, it sounds like you're really passionate about this project. Right, right. Or, I can really see why that experience was so challenging for you.
Yeah, yeah.
You're showing that you're not just hearing the words.
You're hearing them.
You're understanding their emotions and their perspective.
I never thought of it like that, but that's really cool.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, you're basically creating a mirror for them.
Wow.
And it helps them to see themselves more clearly.
Yeah.
And that, in turn, makes them feel understood.
Right.
And valued.
And that's the basis of a really good conversation.
Exactly.
It's like more than just words back and forth.
Yeah, it's a real human connection.
Okay, so we've covered vocab, power phrases, active listening.
Uh-huh.
But there's another thing that our sources talk about a lot,
Okay.
which is the art of storytelling.
Ooh, interesting.
And this is where things get really, really good.
Yeah.
They actually recommend having, like, a few little stories about your own work or school, ready to go.
Why is that?
Because stories are so powerful.
Yeah, they are.
They tap into our emotions. They, make us feel like we're sharing an experience.
Right.
And they make conversations more memorable.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, think about it. Would you rather listen to someone just, list their job duties?
Oh, gosh, no.
Or tell you a funny story?
Definitely this story.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a funny story about something that happened at work and, a lesson they learn or something.
Yeah.
Stories draw you in.
They do.
Yeah. But doesn't that feel kind of inauthentic, like if you have stories prepared?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want it to feel like you're giving a performance or anything.
Right, yeah.
The key is to pick stories that you genuinely connect with.
Okay.
Experiences that you're passionate about
Right.
or that have kind of shaped who you are.
Okay.
Don't try to force it or come up with something super dramatic. Authenticity is key.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about those times at work or at school that made you laugh or cry or, taught you something important.
Ooh, that's good.
Those are the stories that people are going to connect with.
And I guess the more you tell them, the more natural it becomes.
Exactly. Like anything, the more you practice, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
And it's a cool bonus of practicing your storytelling. It's a really good way to improve your English.
Really?
Yeah, like your fluency and your vocabulary. Because when you're thinking about those stories and kind of rehearsing them in your mind, you're actively using the language, expanding your vocab, working on your pronunciation.
It's like a secret weapon.
It is.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we have.
We've got the foundations, vocabulary, power phrases, active listening, and storytelling.
Right.
Now we've got to put it all into practice.
Yeah, let's do it. You know what?
Yeah.
Our sources actually give us some real-life conversation examples
Oh, perfect.
that we can kind of dissect and analyze.
Yeah.
We can look at the communication cues, like what's the psychology behind the questions they're asking?
Cool.
And what are the things that make these conversations really work?
I'm ready. Let's see how these principles actually work in real life.
All right, so let's imagine a classic scenario. You're at some kind of social gathering. You've just met someone new.
Right.
And, of course, the conversation turns to work.
Oh, no. The dreaded question.
The dreaded question.
It's like, do you do?
What do you do? So let's see what our sources have to say about this.
Okay.
All right, so here's how the conversation might go. Okay, so imagine person A says, so, what line of work are you in?
Okay.
And then person B says, I'm a software developer.
Got it.
And then person A follows up with, wow, that sounds challenging. What's the most interesting project you've worked on recently?
Okay, so they didn't just say, what do you do? They actually...
They went a little deeper.
They did.
Yeah, it's a small change.
But I like it.
But it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
By saying that it sounds challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Person A is showing that they respect what person B does.
Right.
And they're curious.
Yeah.
So it invites person B to say more.
It's like opening a door, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then that follow-up question, what's the most interesting project? That's tapping into that intrinsic motivation again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're giving person B a chance to talk about something that they're excited about.
To shine.
To shine, yeah.
It's almost like setting the stage for a story, right?
Yeah, totally. And notice how person B is already jumping in.
Yeah, they're eager to share.
Yeah, to explain their project.
That's the power of a good question.
That's it.
Makes you realize that these little conversations, they're not so little.
Now, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's not just making small talk. It's like...
It's about connecting?
Yeah, and making people feel seen.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's look at another example, maybe this time about school.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
Okay, so imagine person A says, I saw you had a book about astrophysics. Are you studying that? Okay. And person D says, I am. It's pretty intense, but I'm loving it so far.
Right.
And person A goes, astrophysics, that's amazing. I've always been fascinated by space, but I never had the chance to study it. What got you into it?
Okay, I like how this one starts with an observation.
I too.
You know, like they notice something.
It feels more natural.
Yeah, it's more natural than just, jumping straight into a question.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, they find this common ground,
They do.
the book,
Yeah, the book.
and use that to start the conversation.
Yeah, it's like a little bridge, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Into a bigger topic.
And then that question, what got you into it?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's the magic question, right?
Right.
You're inviting them to share their passion, their origin story.
It's like, why astrophysics? What's the spark?
Exactly.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
What's that?
The best questions are the ones that go beyond, okay, what do you do?
Yeah.
But like, why?
Yeah, the what?
What's your motivation? What makes you tick?
Yeah, it's about going deeper than just the facts.
The emotional side.
Exactly. You're tapping into the emotional side of the conversation.
Okay. I'm ready to try these out.
Good.
But what about, like, when you're genuinely interested in what someone does,
Yeah.
but the conversation just feels a little
Stuck,
yeah. Like, you're asking all the right questions, but it's not going anything.
That happens, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the other person might be shy,
Right.
or maybe they're just not used to, talking about themselves in that way.
Okay.
And that's where storytelling can really help.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And by sharing your own story,
Right.
you're kind of modeling the type of conversation you want to have.
You're showing them it's okay.
Exactly. You're creating that space for vulnerability.
So instead of just asking, like, what's the most challenging part of your job?
Yeah.
You could tell a quick story about a time you had a tough situation at work
Exactly.
and what you did.
Yeah. And how you felt.
And how you felt. Yeah.
Because when you do that, you're basically saying, hey, it's okay to be open.
Right.
It's okay to share.
And people feel more comfortable when they see you doing it.
Exactly.
This is making me totally rethink how I approach conversations.
Yeah.
It's not just about asking questions. It's about
Creating a space.
creating a space, yeah,
Or connection.
where people can share and connect
And feel safe.
and feel safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so say I've got the questions down. I'm a good listener. I've got my stories.
You're good to go.
What else can I do to make my conversations even better?
Our sources actually have some really good advice on that.
Okay.
One of the most important things is body language.
Body language. I thought that was just for like presentations.
Well, it's important for those too.
Right?
But it matters in everyday conversations as well.
Okay, how so?
It's subtle,
Yeah.
but it sends a strong message,
Like what?
like making eye contact,
Yeah?
nodding your head, leaning in a little when someone is talking. Those things show that you're interested
Right, right.
and engaged.
Yeah, you're not just like waiting for your turn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we've all been in conversations where you can tell the other person just isn't there.
Oh, yeah. They're looking at their phone.
Yeah. Looking at their phone, looking around the room.
Yeah.
And it feels terrible.
It does, yeah.
But when someone's really present, making eye contact, listening to you,
Yeah.
it makes you feel good.
It does. Yeah.
Like you matter.
Okay, so it's not just what you say.
Right.
It's how you say it.
And how you act.
Yeah, the whole package.
Yeah, your energy.
Okay, what else?
Here's another good one. Don't be afraid to be a little vulnerable.
Vulnerable. Isn't that like a bit risky?
I mean, you don't want to overshare
Right.
or anything inappropriate.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you can connect with someone on a deeper level
Okay.
by sharing something real.
Like what?
Like maybe someone's talking about a difficult project at work and you could share a time when you felt overwhelmed or unsure of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It shows them that they're not alone.
Right.
It builds rapport.
So it's like people connect with authenticity, not perfection.
Exactly.
It's kind of scary though, right?
It can be,
To be vulnerable.
but it's also really powerful.
All right, I'm starting to see how this all works.
Good.
But what about when you're talking to someone who's like really an expert in their field and you feel a bit intimidated? I get that. Like you don't want to ask a dumb question.
Right.
Or pretend to understand something you don't.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
Especially when they're talking to someone who really knows their stuff.
So what should you do?
Well, the best thing is to be honest
Okay.
about what you don't know
Yeah.
and embrace your curiosity.
So instead of nodding along,
Yeah.
it's better to be like, I'm not familiar with that. Could you explain it? Oh.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you can even phrase it in a way that shows you're interested.
Okay.
Like you could say something like, that sounds incredibly complex, but also fascinating. Would you mind breaking it down for me in simpler terms?
That's good. Yeah.
You're showing that you're not intimidated.
Right.
You're eager to learn.
And most experts love to share their knowledge, right?
Yeah, they do.
When someone's genuinely interested.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
We've got the foundation, vocabulary, power phrases, active listening and storytelling. And then we add in body language and vulnerability. It's like we're building
a masterpiece.
Yeah, a masterpiece of conversation.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey.
Yeah.
Not a destination.
It takes time.
It does. You don't have to learn everything at once.
Right.
Just try to incorporate one or two new things each time you have a conversation.
Okay, small steps.
Yeah, and you'll be amazed at how much better your conversations become.
This is making me realize that being a good conversationalist, it's not just about being smooth or, saying all the right things.
Right.
It's about being a good listener, being empathetic, and making those connections.
Beautifully said.
Okay, we've covered so much.
We have.
But we're not done yet.
Not yet.
We need to put all of this
into practice.
Yeah.
So the next part, we'll explore some specific exercises.
Oh, cool. Like homework?
Yeah, kind of like homework.
I like it.
That can help you solidify these skills.
Okay.
And take your conversations to the next level.
Awesome. So stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. So we've uncovered a lot of cool stuff about having better conversations, but now it's time to put it all into practice.
Exactly. It's one thing to understand the theory.
Yeah.
But the real magic happens when you actually start using these skills in real life.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So let's make this deep dive like a conversation boot camp.
I like it. Boot camp.
Okay. First up, our sources suggest role-playing.
Oh, role-playing. That takes me back.
Right. Back to like high school drama class.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's actually really helpful for practicing conversation.
It is. It is. It's like a dress rehearsal for real life.
I like that.
Yeah. So how does this work? Well, you can grab a friend, a family member, or even find a language partner online.
Uh-huh.
And just pick a scenario.
Okay.
Like you're at a networking event or you've just met someone in a class.
Right.
And then you just practice those conversation starters, those engaging questions.
Yeah.
And really focus on active listening.
I like that because it's like low pressure.
Yeah, exactly. There's no stakes.
Yeah, you can just try stuff out.
Yeah, experiment.
And you know what? I bet you could even record yourself.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I know it sounds a little weird.
Yeah.
But it's super helpful to listen back and see how you sound.
It's like having your own personal conversation coach.
Right.
You can see what you did well.
Yeah, what worked.
What could be better.
Exactly. Maybe you talk too fast or you use too many filler words.
Oh, yeah, and
Yeah, those are the ones.
Okay, I'm adding find a role play buddy to my list.
Good.
What's the next practice activity?
This one involves a little bit of writing.
Ooh, okay.
So the challenge is to write 3 sentences about your work or school.
Okay.
And then read them aloud.
3 sentences. That doesn't seem too hard.
It's simple, but it's powerful.
Oh,
because it makes you really think about how to describe your experience in a way that's clear, concise, and engaging.
Like a mini elevator pitch.
You
got to capture their attention.
That's it. Make them want to learn more.
Yeah, and by reading it out loud, you're also practicing your pronunciation.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Ooh, I've got another idea.
What's that?
What if you tried writing those sentences from different perspectives?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like instead of just saying what you do, you could write about what it means to you.
Yeah, like the impact it has.
Or how it helps other people. That would be cool.
It would.
All right, I'm grabbing a pen and paper. What's the last activity in this conversation boot camp?
This one is all about Q&A.
Okay.
So find a partner.
Right.
And take turns asking each other questions about work or school.
So it's like role-playing, but with more focus on questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's good for learning to think on your feet.
Right.
Because you don't know what they're going to ask.
Yeah.
And it also helps you practice that active listening we talked about.
Yeah, you really got to pay attention to what they're asking.
Right. And don't be afraid to get creative with your questions.
Okay, so not just like, what do you do?
Right.
What else?
You could ask something like, what's the most unexpected thing you've learned in your field?
Oh, I like that.
Or, if you could change one thing about your work or school, what would it be?
Those are really good.
Yeah, they make you think.
Yeah, it's not just about getting information.
It's about understanding someone's perspective.
Right, right.
And you know what? You might even learn something new yourself.
True, true. Wow, this deep dive has been amazing.
It has, hasn't it?
It's made me realize that having good conversations,
Yeah.
it's not about being like a smooth talker or anything.
No.
It's about connecting with people,
Absolutely.
building relationships.
And making those interactions count.
Yeah, and remember everyone, practice makes perfect.
It does. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
So go out there and have amazing conversations, everyone. Until next time, happy chatting.